And welcome everyone to my deck profile. I am Mustang of Battlecore and the Core Knights. This is the deck profile progression series that I was talking about in my last video. That every step of the way, I'm going to try my best to give you guys the update of the progression of my black deck all the way up to the DigiFest tournament that's going to be hosted at the end of the month. So if you guys have not signed up for that, make sure to sign up for it as quickly as possible. Spots will just get burnt out in a matter of seconds. If you guys, look at it, it's like 100 people. Like 100 spots left, and then it's only like 5. So sign up if you can. All right. So there's a little bit more of a different change to my deck because I had a variety of things to play against over training camp, which is my team. We all play like 5 different colors, or all 6 of the colors actually, and going to locals. The deck that I'm playing right now is the build that after training camp, and I have not changed it since. So this is the current most updated deck that you guys will see from me. And most of the stuff is still the same, so I'll be flying through the things that are just, the same from the last video. The things that are different, I'm like, that you guys know why I made these changes. They are very important to my game plan, which, like I told everyone before, I am a defensive person. So I built my deck in a defensive mentality because I want to be able to survive while dealing as much damage as possible. We are in a very, very fast meta. And one of the things that people, to me personally, everyone has their own opinions, but me personally, everyone undermines defense and blockers because they want to deal as much damage as possible and as fast as possible. And it's hard to see a defense type aspect even in, other colors, because if someone's hitting you for like 3 damage, you kind of want to have the, combat and hit them for the same amount as fast as possible as well. Putting down a blocker could be like, setting yourself back a turn or two. In my mindset, putting down a blocker could prevent yourself from being set back a turn or two, especially if it's someone swinging at you for, 3 crits. Now, of course, that could be subjected based on, blue stunning you or yellow burning your things off the board or green resting. All those type of things, come into effect. But the thing is, in order to touch you, they have to get around the blocker one way or another. They will have to stun the blocker, other than stunning something else. They'll have to rest the blocker rather than rest something else, or they'll have to destroy the blocker rather than destroy something else. Either way, it is a small, very small deterrent away from their main objective, which is probably to do something to your other creatures, which that blocker says, hey, I'm here. You either take me out or I'm preventing some type of, damage. So enough of that. Let's dive right into it. So first, with the rookies, everything is still the same. I run 4 Dorugoramons. Next, I run 4 Toy Agumons. That reboot aspect is amazing when it comes to defensive tactics, and I think it should always stay in there. I've seen a couple of builds with people taking it out. I think you should keep it in there. It's very important. It's very vital. If people can't swing into it, they have to waste resources to, take down, your bigger creatures and your megas. And I still run 4 Dorugoramon. So that is my rookies. I only run 12. The deck is very stressed on every other area, so I can't, lower it down. Some people play 14, some people play 16. I am very, very comfortable at 12. Even if I don't see a rookie, there's other plays I can make that will be okay and allow me to still make my turns, and to the point where even if I give my opponent 5 memory, which I'll show you later, it's no skin off my back. I made a statement move and you have to respond to it one way or another. All right, so moving from there, we're going straight into our champions. So first, I'm going to go off with the change that I made, which is I run 2 Gigasmon. Now, some people will say, why you run Gigasmon and not Grumblemon? Well, in my opinion, even though it's a 2 versus 3 on Digivolving on the Tamer, your Tamer naturally gives you 3 memory that turn anyway. So unless I'm Digivolving or using some type of memory manipulation to put myself at like 2 after I Digivolve into a rookie with a champion, I'm going to have 3 at the beginning of my turn anyway. So I'd rather use Gigasmon. He's a 6k attacker. He has no negatives like typical blockers, But the most important thing is he is a blocker. So if I have down multiple codas, I can make one of them a Gigasmon. Gives me that defensive aspect and of that aggression also because he's a 6K body. And that also allows me to set up that if I don't have a rookie, let's say, there's no rookies coming up in this middle of the game, but I have Coda. Well, Gigasmon comes out, he's a blocker, Digivolve on top of him, keep it pushing. So that is why he's in there. He also helped me close out games, just like, what people typically would use hybrids for within the deck to really close out the game. So he serves two great aspects, closing out the game and becoming a very vital part in my defense aspect of the deck. So continuing on, I still run to Mechanorimon. This guy, as people kept saying, Mechanorimon's not all that helpful, such. He's been amazing to me. And I fought yellow, green, and blue. And even if he does not block anything, he is a deterrent. They're not going to swing for no reason. So it forces them to waste resources on getting him off the board. Why? Because they cannot safely swing until he's removed. Even if they want to swing with the 6, if I know that that's the only thing you got for this turn, fine, block. Get that 6K, blue Digimon off the board. I forgot the hybrid's name. Excuse me. Sorry, you guys probably gonna hit me for that one. But get it off the board. I don't mind. Trade for trade. Get it out my face. Get gone. So he's been very vital. And not every Digimon that needs to be in the deck that's a blocker needs to be used as, as a one-time thing. Sometimes having a Mechanorimon in your deck as a deterrent to force your opponent to play around this guy is very important. So that right there came across multiple times. And of course, we're going with 4 Dorugoramons. He's not coming out anytime soon. So that guy's been amazing. Of course, he comes with the X antibody package that came in the set. And lastly, rounding out Shademon. Shademon, I know some people will probably say since my last video they did not like him. He has saved my butt against every hybrid deck there is, including blue and including yellow. Those last vital attacks into my security allowed me to not only stabilize myself to survive into my next turn when I do become more aggressive, because now I have a tamer out, got a rookie coming out, I can swing for game. But sometimes on their last offensive swing, Shademon comes out and I now have a champion I can digivolve into a ultimate and finish that game out or round that game out. He has been the backbone to my defense right next to Mechanorimon, and I think that I'm going to take this guy to the top as far as I possibly can. And hopefully, if I can top really well in the DigiFest, I'm going to show everyone that, Shademon is not to be slept on. This guy is very important, especially if you have the room. Outside of Dorugoramon and maybe a couple of Grumblemon or Gigasmon, I think Shademon should definitely be a package within your deck, especially within this hybrid meta. They're swinging very fast, they're swinging very aggressive, and you need that defense. You need to put your arms up and you need to be able to swing back. And you can't swing as fast or aggressive as them with X antibody, but you can hit just as hard as the hybrids, with their level 6s, hitting for 2-3 crits. You can hit just as hard as them. So putting your dukes up and allowing you to defend yourself is very important within this deck. All right, so we're gonna move on from here, going into the next amazing sexy package. Let's go with the big guy himself. Boom, Gogmamon. So Gogmamon has been great to me. At first I took him out for a little bit, then I put him back in, then I took him out. Then I noticed that I miss Gogmamon. Gogmamon is a fighter on his own, and I think that everyone should at least run 2. There's going to be some times where yellow or blue, they're going to get aggressive to swing with some of their ultimates, after they digivolve on the hybrids. Well, Gogmamon says, look, that I can't get the Mega this turn and swing over him comfortably. So Gogmamon says, look, Digiburst 1, get him out my face, then I digivolve into my Mega. That right there is, to me, it's like an offensive physical control. No one will expect it, and it is very great. Not only that, it gives you that offensive aspect within the all turns. This Digimon gains 1000 DP, and a lot of people, even at my locals, forgot about that. Especially forgot about the Digiburst part, staying until the end of their turn, swinging onto my Alphamon or my Dorugoramon, and they're just going out. So that's very important. So here's the big change right here. Not super big, but it's big enough to me. Warmonzimon. A lot of people ask me, hey, is Warmonzimon doing anything for you? I've noticed some decks with it and some decks without it. Yes. I took out the blocker inheritable because it was doing something for me defensively, but it wasn't doing anything for me as to accelerate my game plan. As I said before, everyone's a little bit faster, so I need to speed up as well. And if I don't have my tamer, most people will cut you short at the 3 memory your tamer would typically put you at. So they will put you at a nice, decent 2. And with Warmonzimon, even in my raising area, I'll Digivolve for 2, go into my Mega, and then on the next turn, I'm moving that thing out. He was very, very vital to a lot of plays that end up making me win a lot of games at my locals. And not only that, the opening turn, as I mentioned earlier, if I don't have a rookie, I'll play down Warmonzimon. I'm giving you 2 more than what a typical tamer would give you. So it's not a lot. A lot of people go like, oh man, you gave me 5, you gave me 6. Oh man, you must be. No, just because somebody gives you a lot of memory does not mean it's the death of them. It just means that this is a play. The more memory something costs, is like the more vital that piece is to their game plan. They put it in there for a reason. And Warmonzimon is. If you don't respond to this Warmonzimon, just know I skipped some levels and you know what's coming next. Omega. And right behind that, if you don't know what you're fighting, an Ultra is coming right behind it. So Warmonzimon was very awesome within the deck. And rounding out the Megas is, of course, 4 Dorugoramons. Self-explanatory, goes into the source, gives an additional security attack to anybody with the X antibody trait. But the most important part was this guy's original skill. When Digivolving, put 1 black card with X antibody into his traits, into the bottom of his source, and he can be DP minus or destroyed by card effects. This thing is freaking love. Freaking love it. Alright, so moving on from there, as you guys heard me mention earlier about Mr. Alphamon, he took the place of Craniumon. Wow, Hori, didn't you just hype up Craniumon not too long ago? Yes, I did. He worked for like 2 colors. He worked for yellow and he worked for purple. Everyone else, especially blue, it was more like, imagine having this nice big legendary guy, all well known to be one of the best defensive knights there is within the Royal Knights. And he's big, he's like, him standing next to you is like fucking huge, right? And imagine this little teenager creature walking up and tagging him on his knee and saying, tag, you're froze, and then walking back here and beating the shit out of me. That's how it felt. So, and then I'm looking up at Craniumon, he's looking back at me, and I'm looking up at him getting beat the shit out of, and he's sitting here like, well, damn, my bad, bro. Well, you right. So I took him out for that reason, but not only that, even though he served a very, very strong purpose, I found that Alphamon, not more so for his trait of being a X antibody, but because of his extension plays. That's what I felt like I was missing within the deck, to extend my plays a little bit further, to go a little bit further, or to choke my opponent a little bit so I can stabilize myself on the next turn. He's the reason why I swapped him around. I have a picture attached to that in Twitter, and he was in one of the sources of my Ultras. And the turn before that, before I went into my Ultra, was the extension to get there. I made a conscious decision to go into Alphamon rather than Dorugoramon. More so the power aspect of gaining, a lot of power, but not only that, to gain that 2 free memory back. So I gained that 2 free memory back and was able to choke my opponent with Omnimon Sword defeat, setting them to 1. And in order to respond to defeat, they had to nuke everything else off the board, so the only thing they had to worry about was defeat. which gave me enough memory to go into Dorugoramon on the next following turn. So he was amazing, and I think I unless they have the choker out there like the memory denier, Alphamon played a very strong asset to the deck versus yellow. Believe it or not, extending your plays a little bit, just like they are with their tamers, is very crucial. And rounding out is Dorugoramon. Self-explanatory. The dude gets power on all turns, 1000 DP for each card with X antibody in its traits. And when attacking once per turn, put a card with X antibody into his source at the bottom, and you get to destroy up to two Digimon on the board whose play cost is equal to or less than the amount of cards within his source. Very great guy. Like I said before, I think I said in the last video, I'm going to play him in the next build, in the next set. Everyone else seems to be going like 4 of the other guy and 4 Alphamons. I think the control aspect should not be ignored within X antibody, especially since there's a lot of decks right now who has control. So just hitting your opponent with a lot of damage is, not always the best thing. Sometimes switching it up and giving somebody something different to think about is what changes the meta. So hopefully my build, ends up doing that. Moving on to the Ultras, or level 7s. At first I played 2, but now I play 3 Omnimon Swords defeats, 1 Omnimon Sword, and 2 Omnimon X antibodies. So you're probably thinking, why? Why are you playing so many of these guys? 1, watch the first video. 2, it's part of my strategy. I'm a very defensive person, but I'm also a very reactive person. I like having cards built for any situation. And that's how I built all my decks, whether it was for Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Duel Masters, or Pokemon, or so on and so forth. I like being reactive. And this is one of my reactive packages. And Omnimon Swords defeat got increased by 1 for 2 reasons. 1, due to the meta that we're in. These kids are flying out a little bit too much, so I need to put them back where they belong. And the second reason is because of his cheap evolution cost to speed my way up into the main part of the game, Omnimon X antibody. Omnimon Sword came in handy a lot, even though I only saw him even though I only play him at 1, I saw him frequently. And I'm still thinking about bumping him back up to 2 and just going 2-2. But for right now, I'm going to keep him there and get 1 more week of testing with him. He helped me close out so many games after I smacked somebody for like 3 or 4 security hits with Dorugoramon. Like, the despair on their face, knowing that I got a rookie in the raising. I only put them at 3 because, I went from 3 to 3. I'm going to put them at 3 where their tamer would typically put them at. And now they got 2 ultimates on the board, 1 giant level 7, and a rookie in the background, and only got 2 damages left for me to wipe out. Like, they have to make a conscious decision. Should I wipe out the 2? Probably so. But now this dude's Omnimon Sword could possibly go into X antibody, and oh my gosh, it has Dorugoramon in the source, so he can still bust for game. Like, it's the mental game that you put people through is amazing. And testing this out is definitely the game plan. And like I said in my previous video, Omnimon X antibody can be searched, can be placed, can be utilized just like all the rest of the X antibodies. And the Omnimon package allows you to protect your level 6 Dorugoramon. By going into Source Defeat or Swords, it allows you to protect yourself from Blue's bouncing ability. It allows you to go into X antibody and having all these plus sources to protect yourself from Waver's Breath or Waver's Fire or whatever that yellow card is. It allows you to protect yourself and fight back. And for them to get it off the board, they have to pay you. And sometimes it's paying a little bit more than what they wanted to. And when they do that, you're able to comfortably go back up into your level 6 Dorugoramon and do everything all over again. All right, rounding this out, a little bit of things changed around in this area, and boom, yep, I bumped it up to 2. Wow, Corey, you bumped it up to 2. You said you need. Well, it's not about the searching ability. It's more for the fact of these 2 reasons. One, I now play hybrids. Even if there are only 2, I like to have the most amount of chances of getting them. The second reason is because I want to be efficient with getting that 3 memory each turn. At first, I was okay with it, and I still kind of was, but I wanted to make sure that as fast as possible, I can start my engine going, setting myself to 3. So each turn, I can, in my raising area, go rookie, champion, ultimate. On the next following turn, it comes out mega, and I'm able to do things. But not only that, if my opponent doesn't have their tamer, I'm able to play that nice little choking game because now it's my choice. I'm always going to 3. I got 4 cost Digimon on play. I got 3 on Digivolutions. We can play this game, you know. Boop. They stay the same. Black memory boost. I know Kodas and I know the Dorugoromons can search for X antibody, but sometimes you don't want that. You don't want that whiff. And what I mean by whiff, you may be looking for something in particular, and it's not an X antibody. You may need an ultimate, right? And yes, Dorugoramon is a black ultimate. But what if you activate Koda and Warmonzimon pops up? Well, he's a black card, but he's not an X antibody. Black memory boost allows you to search for your pieces and get exactly what you need or something that will help you further your game. And because it's a black deck anyway, the only things you're going to miss is the tamers, the options, and the level 7s. Outside of that, black memory boost allows you to get 4 cards just like Koda would, but allows you to choose what you need and what you want. Black memory boost in combination with Koda allows you to have 5 memory, and if you already have Dorumon in your hand or in your source, it allows you to go up into your Mega all in one turn with Dorugoramon. You Digivolve onto your champion with Dorugoramon, use his sword, use his ability, put a card into the source. Dorumon gives you that memory back, so you only Digivolve for 2. You have 3 memory left with Koda, Digivolve into Dorugoramon, and start your onslaught. Very, very nice card. Very nice card. So, rounding out this, I play 1 Metal Cannon. At first, I had Brave Sword. I sacrificed that to test Metal Cannon for no other reason that I already have a decent amount of control. You'll probably say, well, Brave Cannon allows you to kill 6s. Well, I'm killing 6s anyway with Dorugoramon. And you could probably say, well, not all the time, not immediately. Well, yeah, that is also true. But I feel like by the time I get to my ultimates, I'm already set up with the package of being able to kill anything due to Omnimon Swords, Omnimon X Antibody, and even Dorugoramon himself. And because a lot of people are playing hybrids, a lot of things stay below a certain threshold, which is 6. So I have enough time to get there, and Yellow's a little bit more patient. So they're not always going to speed there and, go straight to level 7. Even if they do, they're going to, skip a couple of turns. Not skip a couple of turns. Skip a couple of plays. Even if they're cheap evolving for 1, that's still like 2 tamers they could have put down. So when it came to green, I had, no trouble with that. When it came to red, I had a little, it's like some red variants been tripping me up a little bit, but, all the same. But Metal Cannon was placed into the deck due to I need the ability to get my pieces, just like Black Memory Boost and Koda. Imagine being an X Antibody person and having this Yugi effect, from, Duel Monsters and Yu-Gi-Oh! The show. Imagine being able to have all the pieces in your hand and using them whenever you want to. Level 7s, option cards, tamers, the level 6s. That's what Metal Cannon was for. It was allowing me to accelerate my game plan and not have to worry about waiting. And even if you don't exactly get what you need, you just drew about 5 to 7 cards. And that allowed you to deck thin your way down, that in the next couple of turns or the next very turn, you get exactly what you need. And Metal Cannon has twice in locals proved to be very, very vital. Not only just getting my pieces, but having a cheap option to play in that mid to late game. And you're probably saying mid to late game. Yeah, that mid to late game. That mid to late game sometimes is very important, especially if you already have the control. You already dominating. You're like, I don't really need to put down a rookie. I need these pieces so that on my next turn I can close this thing out, and then boom, metal cannon. It's very, very, very important. So, the last thing I want to say about the build, and just give you guys a small little update, is that this past week at my locals, I played against, my first round was yellow, 2-0. Omnimon Sword's defeat, X Antibody, and Alphamon were the key. In my second round, I played against Emperor Greymon. Very, very tough matchup because of how fast and how hard they hit. And, you know, they're mostly just pure aggression. I said in my Twitter post, I could have played a little bit differently, a little bit more patiently. But nobody, I never knew the dude had a Gaia Force in there on the first swing. And then on the second one, I smacked into a Susano, and I was about 1 DP off from beating it. But it bees like that, you know? And then the rest of my rounds, I end up winning those. I played against a Lilith Loop variant. And I think my last round from there... No, my previous round was Green Hybrid, then it was Lilith Loop. So they were very nice matchups. I think the deck is very, very... Not only X Anybody hits hard, but it's very responsive. Based on how I build it, it's very, very responsive. There is something else I want to test, but I will let you guys know later about that. Leave me your thoughts on the build if you guys want to try it. Even if you just want to leave me your thoughts or questions in the comments below, let me know. Outside of that, I thank you guys so much for stopping by, looking at my deck build, and I am Mustang of Battlecore. I will see you guys on the next one.